Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast, the secret weapon in your ears for triathletes who want to get fitter, faster, stronger, and healthier with evidence-based nutrition. My guest today is Chad Rolfs. He is an age group triathlete from Shoreline, Washington, and he did his first triathlon back in 2017. And he loves the sport so much that he's decided to coach it as well and has been coaching for the last 2.5 years. Now, this guy is an absolute weapon in the water. Back in college, he was a Division I All-American swimmer and was recently inducted into the Washington Interscholastic Aquatics Coaches Association Hall of Fame for events like the 50 free, 200 free, and 100 backstroke back in 1989, 1988, 1990. This guy did a 21:15 50 free back in the day, right? Weapon. After his swimming career ended, he moved on to coaching high school swimming for 9 seasons, but this swimmer can still run. He is fresh off the boat from 70.3 Washington and did an amazing sub 5-hour race. His swim was 19 minutes. 19 minutes! Bike was 2 hours 42 and his run was 1 hour 48. I think that's pretty good for a swimmer. Congratulations, Chad. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
How was Washington 70.3? You must be stoked.
Yes, I'm very happy. This was my last triathlon of the season and it was fantastic. I mean, it was the first time they held it in this venue. The run course is along the river. It's beautiful. You climb up to this mountain where you're overlooking the whole valley. It's a beautiful course. The swim was downriver, so there's a little bit of a current. So 19 is not my normal 70.3 swim time. So I had a little bit of help.
That is a very fast swim. I was pretty stoked with my 32 minutes. What's a normal 70.3 swim time for you?
Like 27.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, I was channeling you out in the water there. I was like, Chad's like, you just got to swim faster. Just keep going. And I was having too much fun to swim fast. But how do you run that quick also? Most swimmers are not particularly good at running. You just all over a pretty good athlete.
It has taken me a long time to develop my run, and my coach helped me out a lot with that. I think it was 2 seasons ago where it was like, okay, this is my weak spot. Let's work on this. And so we focused on that for like almost all of the off season. And then also getting my nutrition right. That's a big piece of it. Yes, yeah. Thank you. Getting the nutrition right, dialed in beforehand, the carb loading on the bike so that I can have a good run. So that has helped out a lot too.
And how did your nutrition go for 70.3 Washington?
It went great. It went fantastic.
No issues?
No, nothing on the race. Leading up to it though, the carb loading the 2 days before, I was so full. Like, oh my gosh, that's always a challenge, but it's like, I knew like, okay, it's going to pay off. I know I'm feel a little full, but I know this is going in the right place and it's going to give me the fuel to like smash it once I get on the race. And it did, it worked.
We can always tweak your carb loading plan a little bit if you are feeling a little full. That's something we can talk about in Power Hour and just finesse it. It's always a work in progress, carbohydrate loading. You do it and you think it's going to be so easy and it's going to be so fun and you get to eat all these things. And then the reality of it is like, oh my God, this is actually way harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I was thinking like, maybe it's just because I'm older and my metabolism's slowing down, or maybe I didn't practice it enough. But yeah, it all worked out.
You had that energy to go on the run. Like you obviously did a great run. Did you ever feel like you ran out of energy or were close to hitting the wall on the run, or you could have kept running through that finish line?
I could have kept running through it, but I didn't want to. I mean, I was done. Like another person that I, virtually train with and I've raced with before, he caught up to me right at mile 9. And then we ran together and kind of paced each other. And then just like, okay, last mile, we're going to build every quarter mile. And he took off a little bit and I tried to stay with him, but I kept the gap the same. But it was like, I kind of emptied the tank on that last mile. But it was, yeah. I could have kept running, but not at that pace.
So good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so you're in a bit of an off season now. Good to hear. What's next on the cards for you then?
Little bit of off season. I am doing a half marathon in 2 weeks, and I'll focus more on strength, mobility, and probably focus a little more on running too in the off season.
Yeah, good. One of the things that we've been working on is your run nutrition, because you were struggling a little bit there. We haven't talked yet. Like, how did your run nutrition go for your 70.3?
It was perfect. Like, it was right on. You know, we worked on some of the timing aspects of when to fuel and what to fuel, and that worked out perfectly. No cramping, no hitting the wall.
No gut issues?
No gut issues.
Yes, Chad.
Yes, it was great. It was like I got over the finish line and I'm like, all right, where's that post-athlete food? I'm ready to get my recovery meal in. Let's go.
Yes. Oh, so good. I'm glad I've taught you a few things. Like, you've been able to piece it all together and put it into practice and put that into a great race performance, which makes me so happy, because I always get a bit stressed when athletes do longer course racing and I'm like, is it going to be okay? Is everything going to work? And it's just huge relief to hear that you had a great race and no issues and you're ready to sign up for next year.
Yeah, that's definitely the heart of a coach. Like, when anybody that you coach comes up to a race, and I had a few of my athletes in this race, yeah, it's always like, oh, how are they going to do? Is everything going to work out?
Yeah, I keep refreshing the trackers for somebody that's doing, say, their first full distance event. And, you know, if the tracker slows down or it breaks and looks like they stop, and I'm like, oh my God, no, what's happened? It's all my fault. But yeah, so stoked to hear you had a great event at 70.3 Washington. So you are just wrapping up your Triathlon Nutrition Academy program with us. You're right at the end of phase 3. What made you want to come and join the program and educate yourself for somebody that has been doing sport for a very long time?
Well, I mean, yeah, doing sport, you know, nutrition for just short swimming events, you know, like 50 free, 100 free, 200 free is different from a full distance Ironman. And so how do you optimize fueling for something like that, for that long of an endurance event? You know, if I'm serious about the longevity of doing the sport, you know, you got to master the training of those 3 disciplines. You got to master recovery, you got to master nutrition, and you got to master the transitions. So there's a handful of things you got to master. And I'm a learner at heart. And so I love to learn stuff and keep learning and build on what I already know and try to discover things that I don't know from people that do know.
Yes.
So, yeah.
The more I learn, though, the more I realize I don't know.
Yep. Yep. And so, it's a journey, but it's fun.
It is fun. Learning about nutrition is fun. Well, I think it's fun. When you were a college swimmer, or any time through all of the crazy sports that you've done, have you ever worked on your nutrition with anyone, or did you get to see a sports dietitian back in college days?
I didn't. And, you know, it makes me think back and question, like, did I have access to one and I just didn't take advantage of it because I was, you know, college kid, you know, just stupid and crazy and just letting her rip. But no, I've never officially worked with any sports dietitian, nutritionist prior to working with you on the Nutrition Academy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And what were you struggling with before that made you go, all right, I'm going to do this. I actually need to invest some time and money into my nutrition education. What were the challenges that you were facing before?
I think some of them were the things that I didn't know, like the carb loading. I knew a little bit about recovery, but I mean, not to the extent that I do now. You know, like we talked about, the fueling and hydration on the run. Like, that was getting through a race feeling good at the end. I think those were some catalysts to me wanting to do this. And also, one of my athletes that I coach has gone through it. And so he really spoke highly of it and encouraged me. Also, my coach encouraged me also to go into areas where he wasn't a particular expert. He's got his lane. And so the other lanes, if he can encourage me to seek out information and coaching in those areas too, then all the better for me.
It's a sign of a really good coach, I think, a coach that knows that their strengths are in coaching and there are other experts in other areas that have their strengths in, say, like nutrition or strength training. And I really value working with coaches that know their area of expertise and their limitations and are happy to refer on. There, to me, are honestly the best coaches, because the coaches that think that they can know about nutrition and go, yep, you don't need anyone else, you just need me, really limits the athlete, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. And the longer I'm in the sport, the more I realize how I need to build not just one coach, but like build a team around myself of coaches that are like experts in their field. And then like I get the best outcome possible. And who doesn't want that?
Right? That is how the elites work. They have their strength and conditioning coach, they have their triathlon coach, they have the access to their sports dietitian, they have physio, they have all the things, and each person does each of their areas of expertise. So you have to treat yourself a little bit like an elite athlete, but also work full time, because that's how we work as age groupers.
There it is.
And so those things that you were struggling with, like understanding how to do carbohydrate loading. I don't know any triathlete that knows how to carbohydrate load properly, to be honest, until they've had some education. You can pull numbers off the internet, but it is still not particularly a good carbohydrate loading plan. Same as recovery. Like we think we know how to do recovery, but a lot of the time athletes don't know how to do recovery properly because it is very specific to you and the situation and what you've got going on. So now that you've gone through all of that information and we've been talking each week in Power Hour and really trying to fine tune and finesse what you're up to, what are a couple of the biggest things that you've taken away over the last month that you've been working on, that you've been able to put into place straight away and go, yep, this is for me, this is working, and I'm feeling really good about it?
I mean, we talked about the hydration and the fueling on the run. Definitely have put that into play. I think really fine-tuning everything. Like I feel like I'm just at the beginning, right? It's like I had the vision of like a dartboard. Like when I first started triathlon, like I was off the board, right? like it was a big miss. I was not even, no points, right? And then
Did you think you were somewhere on the board though, and it wasn't until you got in that you're like, oh shit, I'm way off?
Yeah, it was, after the race when I'm like in a pile after the finish line, it's like, oh, that was not good. Like something's way wrong here. And so the journey's been like, getting closer and closer into the bullseye. And I think like, we're we're getting right there. We're like the inner ring. We're not quite the bullseye yet, but we're really close, like really close.
That's a great analogy. I love the not even on the board thing, because I think a lot of triathletes are like that. You're like, yeah, I think I've got this pretty good. Even people that listen to the podcast are like, thank you so much. You've helped me so much. I feel like my nutrition's really dialed in. And I'm like, it is not even close. Like what we go through on the podcast is surface level. It's like a big iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg, and all of that huge big mass underneath is the detail that we go through in the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. So perhaps a lot of athletes think they're on the board and are just way off the side. No good. Great analogy, Chad.
You're putting holes in your drywall right next to your board.
Oh, that's a good one. So you've been working on run fueling, which is obviously paying dividends for you. The other thing that we've played with for you is probably what you're doing on the bike to set up that run. Anything that's changed for you over the program for what you're doing on the bike?
Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of timing and then what I'm consuming when. Getting that timing right, getting the mixtures correct, and the secret sauce in there. Yeah, that's helped out a lot to help set up the run to make it better.
Yeah, nice. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to let you know I have doors to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy open now for the last time this year. It is your one-stop shop for everything you need to nail the fourth leg of triathlon, nutrition. So you can start smacking PBs, survive the training week with energy to spare, and save time and money on the wrong advice and sports nutrition products. Our final cohort for 2024 starts on October 5th. And if you jump in now, I'm gifting you free access to my Triathlon Nutrition Kickstart course, valued at $367. So you can get started straight away and lay the right foundations with your nutrition ASAP while you wait for class to start. For all the details and to join us, head to dietitianapproved.com/academy. I'll see you on the inside. And what are you going to work on now? Like now that you're finished, what I find is we are only just getting started. Now that you've got a really good fundamental level of triathlon nutrition education, what do you want to work on now?
Well, I want to practice. I want to get better at carb loading, which, we can work on in Power Hour for the Supercharged Squad, which I don't know if you want to plug that real quick.
Chad is talking about our Secret Squirrel alumni program. So once you're through the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, it's not see you later forever. We do have an alumni program if you want to stay and join us, where we keep going. Like, there is so much to learn about nutrition. And yes, the program is 3 phases, 9 months. There are 36 masterclasses inside. I still have so much more to teach you. We've got a masterclass on jet lag now, which I did recently, which is gold. There's information on perimenopause nutrition. There's some strength training experts. There's some swimming technique experts. There's more nutrition expert stuff from me. Like, there is just so much. And there's new products coming on the market all the time that we review. There's so much changing. Sports nutrition is a very rapidly evolving space, and so it's a way to stay connected and keep learning about nutrition. Plus, you keep access to me as well. We meet every week for Power Hour and do things like, for Chad, I'll look really closely at his carbohydrate loading plan and go, all right, what can we fiddle with to make it better? Let's optimize it. Let's tweak it. Let's dial it in so it's perfect. Thanks for the chance to plug my alumni program. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love that because there's always new research coming out too, and I love that you're on top of that.
I try to be. It's hard, but I try to be.
There's a lot out there for sure. Another area that I want to continue to work on and dial in is just continue to build on my sweat rate, like filling out my spreadsheet a bit more, dialing in different temperatures and humidities and intensities to know how much am I actually losing and how much do I need to replenish, and kind of be able to better dial that in going into a race, knowing like, okay, the temperature is going to be about this and the humidity is going to be about that, and know, okay, I'm going to sweat more or I'm going to sweat less. And so really, dialing that in.
Yeah, that's a big one. And that's something that you'll be doing for a long time. Like, that's a year's type journey rather than a one day. And that's a common myth that people have no idea about, I think, with your sweat rate, is that you get this maybe sweat test data and that's one data point. That doesn't translate to all conditions, all different races, like different times of year, all those sorts of things. And so you need to understand your own sweaty journey and how to really pull those hydration levers for yourself depending on what you're up to. So that's a good one. I think everyone needs to keep working on that for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a few things to work on, but I feel like, you are very close to getting things really dialed in for you. And it's taken 9 months to get there. I wouldn't say it's a rapid journey for many people, but I'm stoked for you that we're close. What sort of events have you got planned for 2025 and beyond? Is the end goal for you to get to Kona? Do you want to do Worlds? Do you want to end up doing Ultraman? What does Chad Rolfs' triathlon career look like in the future?
Yes, all of them.
All the things. Of course
all
you
the
do.
Things. Do all the things. Yeah, I mean, Kona's definitely a bucket list thing. I would love to do Kona. Definitely want to go to Worlds, 70.3 Worlds. Ultraman, maybe. We'll see. I mean, in the off season, I might look at doing some more trail runs and see if like a 50K or 100K is doable. Might be fun. I love being in the outdoors, so we'll see.
You just want to do all the things. And we haven't talked about it, but you've already done all the things also. Like, you've done taekwondo, you've climbed some mountain, like you just are an outdoorsy, active person. And now that your wife's doing triathlon, like, there's kind of no excuses. Kids are in college, wife's doing triathlon. Like, it's your time, man. It's time to shine.
That's right. As long as we can keep like funding it, we're good.
Yes. I know, it's so hard. It's expensive sport. And so you're taking a sabbatical for work or something too. Is that in 2025?
It is, yeah.
How long have you got off?
6 weeks.
Oh, that's not very long. I thought you were going to say 6 months or something. But Americans like to work, though.
6 weeks paid, and then I may take an extra week in there as well.
What are you going to do with that time?
Might do a family trip to New Zealand, go see Hobbiton and go explore down there.
Nice. You're going to jump across to Australia while you're traveling that far?
Probably not.
Around Sunny Coast 70.3 time in September 2025?
That's a discussion I need to have with the wife still. It could happen as a relay, so we'll see. That could be really fun.
I think you should do the swim.
I would love to do the swim. Let's race. You have a whole year to train.
I haven't. I need to get back in the pool. I haven't really swum since the event. We had a family holiday and then I've been sick. So, yeah, I need to get back in the pool so that I actually have a good performance out there.
You had what did you swim, 32?
Yeah, 32 minutes, but...
Without any training?
I did some training, little bits of training.
Some. Like
with no
wetsuit.
Training? No wetsuit. I swam once a week, minimum. Sometimes I got in the water twice a week.
For how many months prior?
A couple.
Yeah, you didn't train. Come on.
But just like you, I've swum my whole life, right? I've been swimming since probably before I could walk. And so swimming is not a challenge for me. It's technique that you've built from childhood. I find if you learn to swim as an adult, it's so much harder because the mechanics of swimming, I don't know, it just is so hard to figure out where your hands go. But like you don't think about where your hand goes in the water. It just does it.
I think a lot of it is the technique and knowing when to apply pressure and when to relax. So many adult onset swimmers don't know when and how to relax in the water. Everything's tense, and it's like you waste so much energy that way. Anyway.
Yeah. We should do a whole nother episode with you on swim training for triathlon. You have got so much wealth of experience swimming yourself, but then coaching swimming for how many years have you coached swimming? Like a decade, maybe more?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you throw in the high school swimming and triathlon coaching, yeah, it's been over a decade, easy.
Yeah, a lot of untapped knowledge in that brain of yours, I think. There's a good podcast idea there in the works.
Nice, yeah.
So any advice, Chad, for somebody listening that maybe thinks their dart is on the bullseye or at least in the circles, but really it's probably on the drywall?
Oh, if you think you're on the board and you're having a race where you're not able to finish the run feeling great or feeling strong, you're probably not on the board. And it could be not even race day nutrition. It could be everything leading up to it. I mean, that's something that Taryn covers in the academy, just baseline. What's your everyday nutrition? What do your plates look like? You know, when you have a really long, hard training session, how are you feeling that day versus a recovery easy day? Like it matters. And so that can have a huge impact on your results and on race day, just your base level nutrition and, during your training.
It's a huge part of it. It's why we have our first phase. It's 8 weeks long. We cover all of the day-to-day nutrition stuff. And a lot of athletes want to skip that. They want to go straight to the sprinkles, the 1%ers, right? Most triathletes build a pyramid from the tip upwards. They start with all the supplements and I'm going to have 120 grams of carbs an hour because that's going to make me a better athlete on the day. But really, it's the small daily habits compounded over time that have the biggest impact on your performance, because what you do every day and what you put in your mouth every single day matters for the training that you're doing. That all leads to race day. Your race day is not about that day. It's about months and months in preparation for that.
And not just nutrition, your training too. Like all of that. It's the consistency in the that applies to the training as well. So it's, definitely.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is I need to get in the water now for next year.
That's right.
We are coming into summer here, so it's beautiful temperatures at the moment. It's much easier to swim. Having to swim through winter was pretty rough because we have outdoor pools here. We don't really have indoor pools. So you get in the water and it maybe is 8 degrees outside and you've got to go and do a swim. So it's much harder.
I love that.
Do?
The pool I swim at is an outdoor pool, and there were times last season when we got snow where there's like snow on the deck and, there's all the steam coming off the pool, and it's so fun. I love those days, even though it sucks. Get out. Like once you get in the pool and get going, it's great, but it's cold.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I'm a bit of a wuss. I'm a Queenslander. We don't like cold because it doesn't really get cold here, so it was quite difficult to swim through the winter months. But I think I'll be able to keep on top of it over the summer months.
You can do it. I have faith.
Thanks, mate. You were like my swim coach. Actually, you more so freaked me out. You and Becky freaked me out because you were like, Becky was like, Taryn, you need to do 3 swims a week, and one needs to be endurance and one needs to be strength and the other one needs to be something else. And I'm like, Becky, mate, I am lucky to get in the water once a week. Don't freak me out. She's like, just aim for 40 minutes, Taryn. I'm like, okay, that sounds fine. I'd be stoked with that. Anyway, my cyclist was in the portaloo, the porta potty, because she thought, I've got heaps of time. And I'm like, dude, grab my timing chip. Let's go. Get out of here. She's like, give me a hug. I was like, no, go. Funny. It was good times. We are doing Sunny Coast 70.3 2025, though, for TNA. The athletes that came across just had the best time. Steve came all the way from Canada. Kelly came all the way from the US, and they've already booked the ACOM for next year. So it is happening. So if you can chat to the financial controller and see if you can come across, it was an epic time. And yeah, looking forward to seeing all those guys, plus maybe some more TNA athletes next time when we do it again.
It sounded amazing. Yeah, I'd love to come. And Australia's been on my bucket list for a long time.
All right. Sunny Coast 70.3 it is. You heard it here first, people. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Chad. I have loved talking to you straight off the bat from your epic race performance at 70.3 Washington. It's not often that I got to talk to people this close to a race, and I feel like the energy and the buzz and the vibe of like a really good race like just emanating off you at the moment. So I'm so stoked to hear that. And
Yes.
looking forward to seeing, after a bit of an off season, where you go for 2025 and beyond. And if you want to do Ultraman, I'm here for it.
Yeah, this has been awesome. And thank you for all your help.
Oh, you're welcome. We're only just scratching the surface.
I know. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. So if you are interested in joining us in the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program, doors are actually open at the moment. They've been open since Sunny Coast Race Weekend. And our next cohort starts on the 5th of October. So you've got a little bit of time left to deliberate, decide, maybe chat to the financial controller or don't. So go and check it out, dietitianapproved.com/academy if you are looking at joining us. We won't open doors again until January 2025. Thank you so much, Chad, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.